if others could mute themselves, that'd be great. Okay. This topic is one that's really dear to my heart. I've been on this journey for about more than a decade. Uh, I have the privilege and honor to be working at Dangote Group, Lagos, Nigeria. Some of you might have heard our founder Aliko Dangote, who is esteemed in the region for his enterprising spirit to build industry in Nigeria and in various African countries. And automation, digitalization is a key lever for us in our organization. I'd like to touch upon what I observe in Africa as happening, what are the industry trends, and I would like to share a bit about our own journey in this transformation towards Smart Industry 4.0 and broader digital transformation. So, what are we talking about? What is this Smart Industry 4.0, and what is this journey all about for us as we stand today? We are at the intersection of a massive technological exponential innovation that's happening today. We have generative AI, which has taken off big time. And combined with that, we have the quantum computing, which is reaching a stage of maturity. And then you have some impressive things happening with automation and robotics. If you watch news closely, some of the impressive robotic technology that showcased most recently by NVIDIA, by Tesla, by the likes of Sony, Hitachi, these are moving from being prototypes to real world tooling. And in fact, some businesses like Amazon and a few FMCGs, Walmart, Target, etc., and also Alibaba and likes, they have been leveraging this automation for their warehouses, for their logistics operations, so on and so forth. So the technology that we see in journals and podcasts has now come to become a reality, and it is within our reach. Being in Africa, it we face a lot of challenges, especially with the supply chain, with resources, with talent, with infrastructure, very frequently. And I see this as a key differentiator for us in this next decade and forward to overcome some of the hurdles that are seemingly unsurmountable and embark on a journey of productivity, innovation, and economic prosperity. So this is exciting. The automation is actually a great thing for us. The only thing we have to figure out is how to do right kind of investments and how to upskill talent. I'd like to touch upon some of the key themes. Now, if you see the African manufacturing trends over the past 3 decades, there has been actually a decline. And if you see back in 2015, 2006, in that 10-year period, there was actually somewhat higher trend of manufacturing compared to what we are seeing now. Agriculture continues to be the dominant sector, but the African share of global manufacturing continues to be minuscule, while our consumption is predominantly from imports, with very little manufacturing that's happening. If you see the number of African countries that are manufacturing more than $10 billion worth of goods, or 50 plus African countries, we have close to about 12 plus. And then if you see the manufacturing contribution to GDP, it's mostly hovering around somewhere between 12% to about 25% for different countries. By all stretch of imagination, this is bound for a big change with the coming uh, decade. Why I say that? Uh, we see it now. Now, the main challenges that we need to solve to get to the destination that we want to get to is addressing the issues that we have on various levels with disrupted supply chains. COVID-19 has exposed to us, and also it kind of also while it was challenging for us, but it's also gave us the glimpse of it showed us the art of the possible. We were able to regroup, rehash, reorganize, rearrange our ways of doing things in the field, and we were able to quickly scale back, especially in our geographic context. So, but still, we still see in some aspects of supply chains, they still haven't recovered. Certain patterns of consumer behavior, they haven't come back. So it still is a disruption nevertheless, but we like to see the positive side of the disruption. And we want to use this as a lever for the next one, which is technology transformation. So the industry 4.0, till recently, we were talking about 3.0 with IoTs, connected things. But now the 4.0 is dominated by themes of generative AI-based automation, with AI, with robotics, and also we might start looking at on the horizon the quantum computing, the scale of quantum computing. We already touched upon the additive manufacturing. Additives are a big thing, 3D printing. It also greatly simplifies the supply chain challenges. The advancements with material science, with nanotechnologies, combined with the 3D printing, are significant game changers, especially where significant logistics are a challenge. Getting a part uh, produced in some part of the world, be it Japan or China or North America, and importing it, it's a significant overhead, and especially if you take some larger parts, add the travel costs. So the beauty of having abundant raw materials that we have, I think, can help us surmount this challenge. Now, sustainability with production is another big challenge. Africa, we still use a lot of conventional sources for generating power, and the world is changing dramatically with the environmental consciousness, with sustainability, with community health, with the safeguarding where we live. So sustainable production is also a challenge, and more challenging because it also increases the cost. You have to take adequate environmental safeguards, which can increase your overall cost. Then the consumer preferences are also changing. We have Generation Z that is in vogue, and the millennials are also a dominant presence. Africa especially is dominated by millennials and Generation Z, which is entering the workforce big time, and their preferences are somewhat different from the previous generations. So even the industry is trying to adapt to these trends and figure out how to produce in accordance with their preferences. Another big challenge we see is the talent attrition. We see a lot of people in Nigeria, we call that JAPA. A lot of people moving to greener pastures because we have seen a good level of talent base, talent creation. People have acquired some advanced skills, especially in technology, STEM areas, in engineering, in medicine, in sciences, biological sciences. So now they are finding attractive opportunities, and this talent is attractive to North America, Middle East, and Western Europe, and they're much desired. And you see people every year are leaving in thousands and thousands. So this is also posing a significant challenge for us who are building manufacturing hubs, building commercial spaces. And it creates a lot of vacuum in terms of right kind of talent. So workforce upskilling is a challenge that we need to overcome. So these are the key issues that we see that we need to address to be well equipped for the industry 4.0. Now, the conundrum with the manufacturing, manufacturing is pivotal. As much as we see that the agri sector is the backbone and continues to sustain many of our economies, but what is at the crux, according to Nicholas Kaldor, a researcher and in this area, is the productivity in manufacturing drives growth in agric and growth in services, right? And this in turn drives the growth in GDP. I hope we find some consensus to this concept. So it's all the more imperative for us to have manufacturing, a certain key proportion of the GDP economy needs to be centered on manufacturing, which goes a long way in boosting the GDP. Now, what are the key themes for the industry 4.0 that we can really embrace today? We see certain innovations like quantum computing and nuclear fusion come in on the horizon, and also more actionable robotics, that are more running on generative AI-based technologies. But what can we use today? AI. Now, Gen AI, I would say, is AI version 3, perhaps. The first version is the rudimentary artificial intelligence based on very basic logic steps. The second generation is the typical artificial intelligence on the early stages of neural networks prior to the large language models. But the current generation of artificial intelligence is consumable. It's usable for us. We can consume the generative AI through APIs. We also can install these generative AI technologies in local servers today. We have open source large language models like Llama that we can deploy in our own shop floors, data centers. And what are the use cases? Yeah, there's good stuff, but what is it going to do for us? It can help us with the quality inspections. Like you can train the LLMs to inspect the finished goods quality. Visual inspections. You can do the safety improvements with the existing large language model technologies. You can improve security and surveillance areas with large language models. So these are current use cases that we can readily consume. But then you have also certain customer-facing improvements that can be made. If you take the customer service, addressing customer queries, improving customer retention, as well as cybersecurity. It's not least of all, but it's one of the dominant areas that we are actually using artificial intelligence in our business today to reduce the manual effort of going through so many hundreds and thousands of alerts and events that get generated on a daily basis. Next up is the Internet of Things, the IoT sensors. We are beginning to leverage the IoT technology for monitoring the condition of equipment. You have multi-dimensional sensors that can get you data on vibration, on humidity, on the on other environmental parameters. The vibration, the magnetic currents, magnetic fields that it's generating. So many aspects can be correlated in a predictive model. Again, it can leverage the generative AI as well to some extent, but we already have existing technologies that are prior to generative AI that are sufficiently evolved or that can leverage the IoT sensor data to improve the maintenance of equipment, to improve our productivity as we stand today. And some of these sensors have become so consumer oriented that you can even assemble some of these by buying from our international commerce portals across the seas, and have them shipped over to you and put together a system in a few weeks, with some effort yourselves, you know. So such is the beauty of these systems, and then hook it up to a cloud-based system to generate actionable insights, to see which equipment is prone for failure, which equipment has some alarming trends. So this can help you to improve the shop floor productivity, minimize downtime. Then comes blockchain. Blockchain is usable, but the adoption is still a challenge because of people tend to relate blockchain and jump up sometimes because it's not something like cryptocurrency. In fact, the crypto technology is a lot more than the cryptocurrency. The blockchain technology, some of us might be using, or some of us might be aware, helps us to greatly simplify transactions with the shared ledger that we can use, and it helps with authentications, with logistics tracking, with registration, with accountability. So it improves the overall transparency in the industry. So blockchain is another significant boost for the industry that we can leverage today, that is consumable. So all these technologies, how do we get there? How do we make it real for us? How do we implement in our context, especially in Africa? I would say start with an assessment, conduct an assessment on the current state of your digital maturity, identifying the strengths, the weaknesses, the blocks, and what innovations that are locally available that you can leverage, right? And then formulate a strategy, see where you're trying to get to, engage with your stakeholders, and draft a transformation strategy, a journey, a roadmap where you want to get to in a set time frame. You can see results as early as 6 months, and you can have strategy up to 2 to 3 years on the outer end. And most important enabler for this journey is the talent development. Once you formulate your strategy, the key step you need to take is develop the talent. Once you have some idea of which are the areas, you're going to leverage IoTs, you're going to leverage the generative AI with APIs, with interfaces. You're going to leverage some cloud-based technologies. Invest in talent. Develop your talent, and then look around in your environment. Who can you collaborate? Are they good partners in Nairobi that you can work with? Sometimes you have a lot of capable OEMs in other countries. But a lot of times we struggle to get support. We struggle to relate. We struggle with handholding. We struggle with knowledge transfer. So it's always good, if at all you can find a capable local partner, look around and find them. Sometimes if you feel like they are not really advanced, if you start comparing with some of the leaders in the space, we might find them lacking, but still be patient, because this is a journey. And when we want to progress, we need to win-win. The local partners need to be strong enough to support you. That way it can be sustainable for the long term. From a cost perspective and from a talent supply perspective, it helps all around, although it may take slightly longer time in the beginning. But the best thing is to leverage a local ecosystem. In infrastructure modernization, we struggle with archaic infrastructure. We struggle with delays in getting the infrastructure to us from manufacturing hubs where they are produced. So plan the infrastructure modernization well ahead, take all the pain points, and leverage the cloud. Cloud comes very handy, especially for such initiatives. Apart from hardware, where you need an IoT sensor or a robotic equipment or a 3D printer, yes, they can take time, but get the right pieces, right building blocks in place. Then process optimization, and set up a team of process experts who have a keen eye to cut the waste, to minimize the latency, to isolate the redundant steps of approvals and flows. So optimize your process, right? And then train your staff with the entire cycle and repeat the process, right? And I'd like to share a bit about our own journey at Dangote Group, real quick. Our founder is very tech savvy. We have implemented some of the very advanced technologies like ERP, even back in mid 2000s, in our very first plant in Africa. Even prior to that, we were using enterprise resource planning tools, and we are one of the earlier ones to adopt cloud in the early part of last decade. Since 2013, we've been in a journey to put most of our assets in redundance in the cloud. So whatever we have on-prem in our data center also reside in the cloud, except for some tools like Office 365 and email, which is very difficult to replicate. But we keep almost all our ERP systems or mission critical systems. They reside both on-prem and in the cloud as well. And then we also are implementing projects around AI, especially for cement plants that can leverage the data from maintenance equipment for plant maintenance to facilitate the predictive analytics. We are collecting data for production, to see how we can optimize the production, how we can reduce the downtime, how we can find the optimum balance where we can get the best quality product out of our production lines. And then most recently, our oil refinery that we have launched in Lagos, Nigeria, has a very significant chunk of IoTs. It's one of the most modern refineries in the world, very sustainable, very environmentally friendly, and very built on a very robust contemporary technology. We leverage a lot of IoTs. It's completely controlled. We have an impressive, a massive control room with the screens that are almost 3 times the IMAX screens. It's like 3 IMAX screens lined up. Not just the screens per se, but the content, the control and the content and the monitoring capabilities that it provides is mind-boggling. So it took us a lot of pains to get here, and it is still a journey. It's not like we have arrived. We still struggle a lot with the latency, with infrastructure, getting right things to the right place. We still struggle with talent attrition. There are gaps, but we have the zeal and enthusiasm, and from an insider, I can say, if we can do it, you can do it. Any determined entrepreneur in Africa can do it. So I would like to encourage, be happy to share a lot of public content, but I'll be happy to share some of our content as well. So lastly, a few things that I would like to touch upon are enabling ecosystem. The government policies continue to work with legislators, bureaucrats, emphasize them on the importance of productivity that is enabled by the smart industry, digital infrastructure, and then figure out the financing mechanisms, work with financiers locally, the banks, the financial institutions, industry partners, and boost the regulatory framework, and the way forward is modernizing, leveraging IoT, automation, AI, and cybersecurity, and we strengthen the public-private partnerships and lobby for conducive regulations. And last but not the least, develop your talent. With that, I want to say thank you. And I want to leave with this reminder that gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion into clarity. Please have an attitude of gratitude, be thankful for what we have, and that will take us, set the stage for progress and growth. Thank you.